Some more shocking details revolving around this Jimmy Butler situation in Phoenix as a new NBA insider reveals some new details revolving around a potential Jimmy Butler contract if he was able to get to this Phoenix Suns team. And we also got some more news revolving around this Jimmy Butler deal coming from a Heat reporter. So we're going to be diving in and looking at all of this. And is it ultimately worth it for the Phoenix Suns to go in and go all in on this? We'll be breaking down all of that and more on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. And like I said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support on the channel, hitting those likes, letting us know down below in the comment section what you guys ultimately think. So let us know how you guys feel about this Suns team. And tonight, before the Suns game tips off, we will be live with our first weekly live stream on Suns Digest. Go in live at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time to go over this Suns roster, the Suns last week, their upcoming week, and overall answer any questions that you guys have. So if you guys want to come join that, make sure to tune in 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. But without further ado, let's dive into the video at hand. Make sure to grab a snack. And like I said, we got some new information revolving around this Jimmy Butler stand. As we have heard for the last couple weeks, this shocking drama news been breaking down. And as we've kind of broken down in multiple recent videos, we kind of gotten to the point where Jimmy Butler has kind of made it known that he really wants to go to Phoenix and that Phoenix is his ultimate destination. And we have a source from ESPN and Kendrick Perkins who spoke about this today and broke this down. As he said, he heard from his sources that the Suns have a 2-year, $121 million extension waiting on Jimmy. And Kevin Durant wants Jimmy Butler, and if he does get Jimmy Butler to this team, they'll both going to sign contract extensions. And this comes courtesy of Big Perk Kendrick Perkins. We also saw from Evan Sidery today as well. The updated Jimmy Butler trade odds from DK Sportsbook show that the Suns are heavy favorites to acquire him. The Suns are the favorites at plus 110, where the Heat plus 300 and the Grizzlies at plus 600. Butler has told Memphis not to trade for him, so this will likely come down to him staying in Miami or all season or ending up in Phoenix. And that's kind of the revelation that has been kind of brought upon us. We all know that Jimmy Butler here hasn't been having the greatest season so far statistically for this team, for the Miami Heat, as he has been injured, has been, suspended now for some play after he did not want to be with this team. But Butler will definitely still provide some needed services for this Suns team. Obviously, a new look superstar that is going to be effective with this team as a defensive piece, as a leader, as a new solidified rotational piece for this starting lineup, something the Suns desperately need, as ultimately with all these scorers and all these shooters, even in the big three, but not just that, with these small guards, with Tyus Jones, with Grayson Allen, with Josh Okogie, with Ryan Dunn, with Royce O'Neal, they need some other beefy size. They need some different looks. They need some different types of player archetypes, and going after a player in Jimmy Butler is definitely one that they lack on this team. And I think adding Jimmy Butler alongside Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, that would be key. And like Perkins said, it would ensure that that Kevin Durant would sign that extension. And I think so as well. I think both of these players would stay long term and would be willing to compete here. That's why Jimmy wants to get to Phoenix so badly, as he knows Matt HB is willing to give him that money and he's willing to stand with this team. But another roadblock comes in as the way, as well, as while I was getting this video prepped up for all you guys, we got a report coming from a Miami Heat reporter that lets us know all in on this jazz about Jimmy Butler. And this is courtesy of Barry Jackson, where he says, per source, the Heat are still trying to trade Butler, which we all know they are trying to do, but they have found no appealing offer and plan at this point, barring trade, is that Butler will rejoin the team next Friday for their game in Denver. So at this moment, there is no aggressive push. Miami is still trying to find an appealing offer to take on, and that is kind of the problem with getting a deal done. We all know that the Suns want Jimmy Butler. The Heat want to get off Jimmy Butler. We all know that the Suns want to get off Bradley Beal, as he's the one contract they want to move, but we all know the Heat do not want Bradley Beal, and that's where the case comes in, as a third team is going to have to be inserted in. And not only is it complicated to find a third team that Bradley Beal will A, accept a no trade, waive his no trade clause to go to, B, finding a team that has the luxury tax or the money to take on Bradley Beal's contract, but then 3, you have to find a team that is willing enough to send out good enough stuff to Miami for them to complete this 3-team deal. And that's ultimately what seems to be barring this holdup at this very moment. Miami can't seem to find out what they naturally want for a Jimmy Butler deal. Do they want that free up cap space? Do they want to have a similar situation to the Los Angeles Clippers this season when losing Paul George? Or do they want some role players to kind of integrate into this team with Tyler Hero and with Bam Adebayo to give them still a push in the Eastern Conference as they still feel confident in the East with the team that they are running now? Ultimately, that is what remains the question. And I do think Miami will get a deal done, even if Jimmy Butler, after the suspension, does come back and plays with the Heat. I think by the deadline, the Heat will obviously not be stingy and will move off of Butler at least for some cost so they can get something for him. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. But I do want to go back and comment about one thing. As we broke down, Jimmy Butler was asking for how much and is he worth that? As I think that is a still talkable point for this kind of breakdown of this video. As we saw from Kendrick Perkins, 2 years, $121 million extension is what Jimmy Butler would want. And we all know Jimmy Butler is on has 2 years with his deal, but has a player option next season. And from reports that we've heard, Jimmy Butler wants to opt out of that said player exception and test free agency. And I don't blame him. He wants to get a long-term extension, and that's why he wants to go to the Suns. Matt Ishbia is willing to give that money. But 2 years, $121 million is a lot of money. Let's not forget that Jimmy Butler is not young. He's at least 35 or 36 at this point in his age. I don't remember at the top of my head. And he's still getting older. So if the Suns give him that 2-year extension, yeah, it might sign KD long-term. It might still push this playoff window for this team. But signing a player like Jimmy Butler to that level of a contract is very risky, because if Jimmy Butler on a $60 million deal, basically at that point, is at the same value of Jason Tatum and all these players, and yes, he is still a top tier player at that rate, but these type of players that are getting these contracts are young superstars, players that are still growing, players that are still getting better to where their contract can still grow with their age. Where Jimmy Butler necessarily isn't continually getting better, he might still be able to hold his prime and still be a solid piece, but necessarily isn't going to continue to grow and be a better player after every single year. If not, he's going to get worse. So I think the Suns strapping $60 million to Jimmy Butler in a 2-year extension is very risky. I would not go into that $60 million range. Now, necessarily, who knows if Perk is naming this 100%. It is Kendrick Perkins. He has been able to speak his nonsense on ESPN for a little bit while now. So these numbers, could be a little bit exaggerated for Kendrick Perkins to be having a talking point, and I would not be shocked if that's the case. But if I'm the Suns, I'm looking to extend Jimmy Butler. I know he's making around $48 million, and he wants that type of money, but $40 to $50 million, $60 million is a lot of money, and I don't even know how that restricts the Suns. As we all know, they are a second apron team, and if they are to move off of Butler, or if they're able to move off of Beal, to get Butler on this team, they do drop underneath those aprons. But going into next season, if you give Kevin Durant and Butler those extensions alongside Booker, I don't necessarily know how this team looks with the salary cap compared to next season and all that stuff, how those numbers would necessarily work. I'd have to do a long term, probably a couple hours to try to figure that out. But like I said, the Suns could find themselves in a similar situation if they give Jimmy Butler $60 million, if he's just another aging superstar who's going to be, a better fit on this team and could still help this team get into that conversation. But if he's necessarily not going to be that piece that's going to put us over the top, as the Suns, if they still make a move for Jimmy Butler, still have issues with this team in the center group, with still some of these role players not really stepping up and being requireable role players for this team and necessary fit, that could still be an issue for this Suns team. And that's what I said. I don't necessarily know if $60 million is the right move. I still think going after Butler is the right move. We need a little bit of we desperately need a change. Having a player like Beal coming off the bench making $50 million is not going to be happy for him or the organization. You need to move off of Bradley Beal, get in Jimmy Butler, get in a new center, get in some new faces, some new places. I was talking in a Twitter space with D-Rock, shout out to him, and I was talking about how they need like an athletic rebounding wing. They don't even have that on their roster. Suns need to go out and evaluate and find some other key pieces besides shooting and scoring to add to their team to really get this squad into a cohesive unit, similar to some of those teams that we watched yesterday, like the Cavs, the Thunder, and some of the teams at the top of the league. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel about this Suns team as we broke down this shocking update going on about Jimmy Butler. Obviously, wanting to come to Phoenix, and some stuff obviously stagnating and making it a little bit harder for this team to go over. And we talked about Jimmy Butler's potential extension with this team as well. Like I said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic showing your love and support. Hope some of you guys do come through for that live stream. Like I said, weekly live streams will be going at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time for all you guys. And we will be breaking down, talking everything about the Suns. It will be happening every single Thursday. We're going to be having guests come on the stream as well. I'm going to try to get into some coordination. I want to do the first stream by myself. But after that, if you have any guests that you would like to see on the show or anybody you would want, let me know in the comment section. I'll try to reach out to them and have them come on. But you guys have been absolutely fantastic. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day and go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, everyone.